Well, what we've said in the fifth assessment report is that since the middle of the last century, all the changes in climate that have taken place are extremely likely the result of human actions. Unless we bring about a rapid reduction in emissions, we are going to see much worse impacts of climate change over a period of time, including an increase in extreme events. Two types of extreme events are on the increase in frequency and intensity: heat waves and extreme precipitation events. And I know I'm giving these answers in Paris. In 2003, you had that terrible heat wave in Paris and surrounding areas. I'm not saying that that was the result of climate change, but what I would like to say is that events of that kind will become much more frequent and much more intense in the future. We will also have to mitigate the emissions of greenhouse gases, and the sooner we do that, the better, because if we don't do that, then the impacts of climate change will go beyond certain tipping points and thresholds, as a result of which we won't be able to do anything really tangible about it. And I think to bring about mitigation of emissions, what we have estimated is that if temperature increase by the end of the century has to be below 2 degrees Celsius, then by the middle of this century, we'll have to treble or quadruple low or zero carbon sources of energy supply. So that's an area where we have to make an intervention. As you said, yes, we will be demanding more and more energy, but we'll have to go in for low carbon sources of energy. And that would include renewables, nuclear, carbon capture and storage, and of course improvements in the efficiency of energy use. These are not rigid objectives, because after all we are dealing with a whole range of opportunities, and it's entirely possible that you might get some technological innovations that would change the numbers that we have assessed. But on the basis of our assessment, yes, 80% would be about the extent to which the power sector will have to move away from conventional sources of energy supply. Well, you know, earlier on the IPCC would not assess nuclear energy, but beginning with the fourth assessment report and also in the fifth assessment report, we have assessed nuclear energy, and of course there are problems associated with nuclear power, but we have looked at it in terms of a low carbon or zero carbon source of energy supply. So among the options that we have identified for bringing about a reduction in emissions to keep temperature below 2 degrees Celsius by the end of the century, nuclear certainly is one of the options that we have looked at. So we are not in any way prescribing anything, but we have assessed all the options, and it is then for decision makers, governments and the public to decide what they want to adopt.